It's such a big deal at the company. Hold on, I gotta fart. Listen to this. Ooh, that thing was greasy.
It's such a big deal at the company. Hold on, I gotta fart. Listen to this. Ooh, that thing was greasy. It's such a big deal at the company. Hold on, I gotta fart. Listen to this. Ooh, that thing was greasy.
It's such a big deal at the company. Hold on, I gotta fart. Listen to this. Woo! That thing was crazy.
It's such a big deal at the company. Hold on, I gotta fart. Listen to this. Ooh, that thing was greasy.
It's such a big deal at the company. Hold on, I gotta fart. Listen to this. Ooh, that thing was crazy.
It's such a big deal at the company. Hold on, I gotta fart. Listen to this. Ooh, that thing was crazy. It's such a big deal at the company. Hold on, I gotta fart. Listen to this. Ooh, that thing was crazy.
Wish that I was on a rocket top, down in the Tennessee hills. Ain't no smoggy smoke on rocket top. Ain't no telephone bills. Once I had a girl on Rocky Top, half her, the other half cat.
What's up, you worthless pile of wank stains? This is the BDC show, and we are coming at you live from the storm of the week. It's not the storm of the century, but it's the storm of the week. Because last week we reported to you about the storm. Look, here it is. Look at it. The storm coming up on us, and it showed no mercy indeed. As you can see here, these are some live shots of when it very first started. This was early Saturday morning. They had actually lifted the initial weather hold on us, and I contacted the weekend dispatchers and told them, like, look, man, like, I'm not going to be able to outrun this storm, and by the time I get far enough away, I'm going to be in the North Carolina hills and or the, what do you call it? There's a stretch of 40. I did a episode called Pulp Section a long time ago, and there's a section of 40 that is all fucked up, and it's 2 lanes, 35 miles an hour each way, and it goes on for like 20 miles like that. So basically, that was my whole thing, was like, I don't want to get stuck out there because there's nowhere to pull off. There's nowhere to, like, you know, and this shit is snow and rain and ice, and it's like, I am not trying to, and there's no guardrails on 40 when you get out that way. So it's like, I am not trying to slide into a ditch I was like, I'm just going to hold. I was like, because I got this storm at my back, and I want to see what it's going to do first before I start getting crazy and making moves. And they were like, hey, that's cool, dude. Like, if you're doing it for the reason of safety, like, we're all for that. And I'm like, well, doesn't really matter if you're for it or not. That's what I'm doing. I wasn't calling for approval. I was letting you know this is what I'm going to do. Hey, fire me. I don't care. Like, I'm, this truck, this trailer, the freight inside the trailer, which is still birdseed from last week. It doesn't, I want to get it there safely and undamaged, but it's not worth my life. Like, I was like, no, I'm not fucking moving. And sure enough, dude, like an hour later, we get fucking like 3 inches of snow dumped on us, as you can see here. And these people were completely caught off guard. It's sped up and everything, but it was like, I caught 3 accidents in like the first 20 minutes of it starting to snow. Nothing major or anything like that, but it was like, little fender benders, like people sliding down that hill. Like, you can see that road right there that's coming toward the camera. That's totally that's an incline. And it was like people were sliding down that shit. And people were like turning into the truck stop and they were hitting each other. And it was like, it wasn't anything major, but like you could tell something was going on because people would like stop and then they would like somebody, like they'd both get out and they'd like be looking at, you could just tell it was an accident. But as Saturday night went on into early Sunday morning, like you could really tell that the storm was going to become something much more sinister. Like, I was looking at my weather app, and I'm going to show you guys some footage of it here in a second. But you could tell that, like, this shit was just, like, really gearing up and getting a lot of steam behind it. And it was, like, coming up out of Mexico into Texas. Like, I know in West Texas they got a lot of rain. East Texas, they got a lot of snow. There's, like, all kinds of places that don't normally get snow that got snow. And now the entire Midwest / the South is just getting hammered with ice and snow. Like, look at this. It's going really slow for your benefit because, like, that's how I do it here on the channel. But, like, look at that. That is just converging into one major big-ass storm. And where it says the little snowflake with the little black arrow pointing down, that's me. That's where I'm at right now. So I'm right in the middle of this. Pray for me, people, if you do believe in God. It was crazy being on such a long hold because I haven't been on a hold that long before. But it was cool because Sunday night, both of the AFC and NFC championship football games were being played. So at least I got to watch that. And that was cool. So no complaints here, but I was starting to get a little stir crazy. It was like, it's a good spot to be in because it's like, you've got gas, a bathroom, food that was available to you 24/7. That aspect of it was cool, but it was like being stuck in the same spot. It's like, I know I'm sitting there, and even though they're paying me money because it's like they initiated the hold, it's like, I kind of want to get moving, but like at the same time, like you've got that whole specter of safety lurking over the whole thing. So, you got to do what you got to do. Like, I know there's a lot of guys out there that are like, fuck it, I'm going to do it, man. I don't care. But like, I told them I was like, I've already like explained this to you guys, but like, I was just like, hey man, like, look, it's looking really kind of sketchy out there. And it was like, Saturday was all snow, Sunday was all rain, and the entire time it was like below 32 degrees, so below freezing. So I'm like, all that rain is going to do nothing but turn into ice. And sure enough, at dark, as soon as the sun went down and there was no more warmth of the planet, that's exactly what happened. It all turned into ice. Like, I was moving the truck every, 4 hours or so. Like, just move it up a foot, just so it wouldn't get stuck. And then 4 hours later, I'd move it back a foot. Just, that's the kind of stuff they don't teach you in CDL school. I think I've mentioned that before, but, you gotta protect your spot, man, because ain't nobody else gonna give a fuck. And it was like I was, opening up the passenger side door and standing on the steps leading up to the door, pissing, because I didn't want to walk across the fucking parking lot because it was covered with ice. And true story, on Sunday when I was walking across the ice, I went in to take a shit, and then when I came out, I came walking back across the parking lot, and it was like I had my boots on. They're tactical hiking boots, which means that they have they don't have cleats or anything like that. But as I was walking across the parking lot, I made it all the way to the truck and then slipped and totally ate shit. But it was all good because I flat backed it. I've been watching wrestling for so long, I knew that if you're gonna fall, spread it out as much as you can across your body. Don't land on one side or try to take it flat on your back. And that's what I did. I mean, at this age, shit, dude, fuck up my elbow and end up releasing a blood clot into my lungs or some shit like that. But it was all good. They finally ended up lifting it Monday morning at around noon, and that was fine with me because it was it felt like I was looking around thinking, hey, well, the snow is pretty much melted. The rain had stopped. There were still flakes, but it was just very sporadic, and it wasn't all that big of a deal. So I was like, I'll give it a shot. And don't get me wrong, I wasn't pressured in any way. If I don't feel like it's safe, I'm not going to do it. I don't give a shit. They can fire me if they want. I've already got over 6 months of experience, and there's plenty of companies that will hire people with just 6 months of experience. So I really wasn't that worried about it. If you want to get that mad, get mad. Get mad and be mad. And put a cape around your neck, and that way you can be super mad. What do you think about that, ass fuck? I got to tell you, this was the first week since I started doing this channel that I was actually thinking about not doing an episode this week. But I figured this is the biggest storm that I've ever seen, and everyone was freaking out about it. So I figured, I can't leave my 39 or 38 subscribers hanging. So I figured, why not? Plus, I looked at the channel and I realized that the first 5 episodes I ever made are now all over a year old. So, I gotta run with it. So, but anyway, yeah, so this is right before they lifted the hold. As you can see, there's still snow on the ground and everything, but, it's not falling out of the sky anymore. So they ended up releasing the hold at noon, which kind of sucked because it's well, if I start driving now, that means I can drive till 11 p.m. And, you're not going to be able to find parking at 11 p.m. anywhere. You're going to end up having to do some illegally parking, on a shoulder or on an on-ramp or, just outside of a rest area. But if you look here, this is me walking across the parking lot, and it was right before I shut off the camera when I get up to the truck, but I ended up busting my ass. I slipped and fell. I think I mentioned that already, but it's all good. So I got paid last night, and I had to tell you, it was one of the fattest checks I've gotten thus far. My most recent raise went into effect, and basically my check was the equivalent of the GDP of Yemen. So yeah, I'm a little congested, and I got a bit of a cold. That's why my voice sounds so funny. I mentioned in the last episode that I'm really not feeling all that well. And I got to be careful. Like, I can't take, like, NyQuil or something, because if I get stopped, anything that has alcohol in it. Like, I don't even use, like, cologne and shit that has alcohol in it, because I don't want to get popped by the state troopers or whatever. But as you can see, we're back on the road, and the roads really weren't that bad. I don't really care about snow. Ice is always my biggest worry. Ice Ice Baby, you know what I'm talking about? For those of you who remember the 90s and shit. But yeah, like, when I very first saw my check stub, like, the very first thing I thought was, like, oh my God, I'm making way too much money. I don't even know who I am anymore. Like, I'm getting ready to forget about all the little people who stood by me when I had nothing and just act like I don't know them anymore. No, I'm just kidding. Or am I? Nobody knows. Nobody really knows for sure. People will be like, oh, he's just kidding. And I'm like, no, I'm dead serious, man. That's exactly what I'm going to do. So, basically, after we drop this load off, oh, yeah, you can see how dirty my truck is. I got 2 laundry baskets just chilling up in the front seat with me. But the brown one in the passenger seat, that's, like, usually where I keep all my shit so I can grab stuff real easily. But, yeah, it's been nuts, so... Anyway, we drove around in the snow, and it wasn't too bad. Ice is the biggest fear. The only place I really ran into some ice was at these, where was it? I don't remember where it was, but it was actually at a shipping yard. And I was having a real hard time backing in because my drive wheels were on, like, a sheet of ice. And, it was like I would hit the accelerator, and it would just, like, spin out, spin out, spin out. I ended up getting it. Look at this. Look at all these accidents. There were hella trucks in ditches as I was driving down this way. And this is that fucked up stretch of 40 in between Tennessee and North Carolina. And yeah, that's where it was. It was in North Carolina. And that's where I ran into that ice. And it really wasn't that bad, but I ended up getting it in there. But it made it really difficult because, like, you're gunning the engine. And if you fuck that up, you're going to end up, like, backing into another trailer or something. And that's no good for anybody. We can't be out here damaging equipment and acting all crazy and shit. So, but everything turned out fine. We were able to make the delivery just fine. And, it's part of the game, man. I mean, if you look at it, it's already the end of January. So it's like all this bullshit is going to be done in a couple months. And then I'll be bitching about how hot it is and how I can't get cooled off in the truck. Yada, yada. You know how it goes. Only worry about me when I stop bitching. Every week I say to myself, I'm not going to wait to the last minute to do these voiceovers for the new episode. And here it is again, Friday night. And I'm racing to get it done because I like to put out my videos. I don't know if you guys have ever noticed, but you can look at the date and time that I release them. And I like to release them at 10:14 p.m. Mountain Time, but it's where I'm at currently. It's 12:14, sorry. So anyway, I try to do it. I've released them late before, and I've released them, earlier before, but that's kind of what I'm always shooting for. So, but yeah, that's the story of my life, dude. I'm always like, oh, I gotta hurry up and get this done. But basically what ended up happening was after I went to, North Carolina, it was Mocksville, not Knoxville, Mocksville, North Carolina. I came up to a town called Mahopané, Pennsylvania, which is right outside Tunkhannock, Pennsylvania. And basically, I dropped off a trailer there. That actually kind of sucked because, my GPS took me the total wrong way. And, like, where it took me was a 2-lane road. And there was literally nowhere to turn around. I had to go, like, 50 miles out of my way. And then I had to basically make a big square around this small town with streets that clearly were not designed for trucks. There were no truck restriction signs. It wasn't like it said, no trucks this way or anything like that. But it was just very tight. And I got there, like, right as, it was a small town. But anyway, like, after that, I shot over to New Jersey. Actually, I mean, it was New Jersey. It was Bordentown, New Jersey, which is really a suburb of Philadelphia. So it wasn't like I was like close to the New York side or anything like that. This is actually the Welcome Center at the Delaware Gap. And look at all that snow, man. And it's like, I don't know. And look at this. This was also tripping me out as I was driving. This is me going from basically to New Jersey into Pennsylvania. This is the Delaware River. This is that famous picture where George Washington and all his homies are sneaking across in the boat. I kept seeing all these frozen rivers, even this big fucker here, and I was just like, damn, dude, like, imagine how cold it must be to freeze that much water solid. Like, I bet you could probably walk across that shit. I mean, I wouldn't want to try it because I don't swim. I don't fuck with the water, but I bet you could. So, yeah, there was quite a bit of footage of these frozen rivers just because I've never seen that before in my life. Like, I've driven in snow before and I've gone over rivers, and when I look at them, they're still basically water. But look, that's like all snow and ice. I don't know. Maybe you can't walk across that. Maybe it's just like slushy. But yeah, I was bugging out on that. I was just like, holy shit, like an entire river, all that water is frozen. And then this one, it doesn't look too bad, but this was, okay, so after I left New Jersey, I basically was headed to Greencastle, Indiana. So all the way across Pennsylvania, and then this tiny little sliver of West Virginia. Like, if you look at West Virginia on a map, the top of it, there's this little, like, antenna thing poking up out of the top of it. And it's only 10 miles across, and then from there, you're going all the way across Pennsylvania, into West Virginia, and then into Ohio, all the way across Ohio, and then into Indiana. It's like 30 miles east, or 30 miles west of Indianapolis. And then the plan was, I was going to get the truck serviced on Saturday. But then after I did all that, it was brought to my attention that they're closed on the weekend. So basically, I shut down at like 7 p.m. on Friday night, last night, and I won't be able to get the truck serviced until Monday. So that kind of sucks, but, you know, like I've said before on this channel multiple times, I don't mind the downtime. Like, it's fine with me. Like, you want me to just chill? I don't give a fuck. I already have stated that, you know, I'm making good money anyway, so it's like, you know, who am I to complain? This is actually Interstate 76, the Pennsylvania Turnpike. It's one of my favorite routes. I like any route that has service plazas rather than just rest areas. Rest areas are just basically bathrooms and vending machines, but service areas have like restaurants in them. And I don't know if I ever confessed this before, but I actually had an incident at the King of Prussia service plaza on 76 a long time ago. I think it was that time when I was actually talking about, I actually went into depth about King of Prussia and like why it's named that and everything. I don't remember what episode it was. I'll try to find out, but I'll go ahead and tell you. So basically, I shit all over a toilet at the King of Prussia service plaza, but I didn't get any on myself. So there you go. My stomach was hurting and I just spray shat all over that sumbitch. It was gnarly. Alright, so we gotta end this episode because we're getting pretty long in the tooth, if you know what I mean. And basically we're looking at the icy conditions. And let me tell you something. Look at this right here. You see this guy right here? He's throwing all kinds of snow off the back of his trailer. I had one of the most puckered asshole moments of my entire trucking career just a couple days ago. I was behind a guy. Okay, let me paint the picture for you. So, I was driving, and this guy, this other trucker was pulling up on the on-ramp to my right. I look at my mirrors. To my left, there's traffic. I can't get over. So I'm like, well, fuck. I guess I'm just going to have to slow down and let him on. So I slow down and let him on. He merges in front of me. And as I'm driving, just like you see in this video here, this dude starts throwing snow off the back of his trailer right at me. And I thought this shit is going to shatter the fucking the windshield, but it ended up being nothing. But there was a few moments where I was really scared. Look here at this flat nose cab over. You don't really see those too much out in the world anymore, but I saw one today, and there it is. I will be so glad when we finally get rid of this snow and this ice, because I gotta tell you, everybody's like, oh, being a trucker is so fucking cool, blah, 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 blah. Yeah, well, try it in the fucking wintertime, asshole. It sucks ass. But anyways, it doesn't matter anymore because we made it to Greencastle, Indiana, which is our final destination. And then we started making our way back to Indianapolis when I was hit with the news that they probably won't be open until Monday. Well, holy shit. I guess we're doing a 34-hour reset right here in the Circle City. So, I figured the first night I pulled into a rest area in Plainfield, and that's actually where I recorded that fart. I can't believe, if you're still watching this after the 3 minutes of me farting into the mic with the voice changers and all that, I mean, you're a real one. That's all I gotta say. If you were like listening to that for like a couple minutes and you just said, you know what, I'm not gonna fucking watch this episode, this guy's an asshole, I would have totally been like, hey, I get it, I understand it, but this is what it's all about right here. So anyways, yeah, we gotta end this episode. We gotta wrap it up for this week. It's been too much. I don't even know if I'm gonna get this out on time because I've wasted so much time fucking around. But this has been the storm of the week, and I can't say anything else about it other than it sucks ass. I hate fucking driving in the snow. I hate driving in the ice. And the only place I run into ice is like the shipper, at rest areas, and at consignees. Because when I pulled into the place at Greencastle, they were like, oh, just put it anywhere over here. Well, there's fucking snow and ice everywhere, asshole. Okay. I'm not going to get mad. I'm not going to get loud. Because I'm committed to the Lord. And I think you all know what that means. What you're looking at is 465 in Indianapolis, and that fucking loop is a goddamn piece of shit. It's a fucking piece of shit, and I'm going to say it out loud, and I don't give a fuck who hears me, because I don't care anymore. But I want to thank you guys all for your support. I love you. I will see you next week, and I want you guys always to remember that I love you very much. And I will see you next week.